Jamaica's quick sprint to September 3rd. The election races are on. Welcome to episode 96.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm joined by Sarah, and Rich is managing our soundboard.
I'm genuinely fascinated, to pull back the curtain a bit on the hidden mechanics and, frankly, some surprising traditions that really kick off Jamaica's election season. Our mission today really is to show you what it actually takes to get on the ballot and what that all means for the country. We've been digging into sources like the Jamaica Observer and the JIS to bring these insights to you. So the stage is absolutely set. September 3rd is the general election, and you can just feel the political energy building up. What's really striking is, well, just how many people seem to be throwing their hats into the ring. We're looking at nearly 180 candidates expected to contest. That's a huge number, isn't it?
It really is.
What does that sheer volume tell us about Jamaica's current political landscape? I mean, is it just like a sign of a vibrant democracy or maybe something more complex brewing?
Yeah, it's definitely more complex than just a simple sign of engagement. I mean, sure, it speaks to a very active and, participatory democracy, which is great. But getting close to 180 candidates, that does hint at maybe a potential fragmentation of the traditional voter bases. It suggests that perhaps niche issues are finding their champions more easily now, or maybe there's a growing dissatisfaction with the established parties opening the door for new voices. So yeah, this many candidates could signal a shift towards a more maybe pluralistic political future, or it could just mean the system is ripe for some independent disruption. It certainly forces a broader conversation.
That's a really interesting take. So it's not just pure enthusiasm, but potentially kind of fracturing of those traditional loyalties you mentioned.
Exactly.
How does that impact the campaigning for the big players, the established parties like the JLP and PNP?
Yeah. Well, it certainly means the major parties, the JLP and PNP, they just can't take their traditional support for granted anymore. Not with that many choices potentially on the ballot. They have to work harder, really articulate their vision, convince voters they represent the best way forward. Especially when, like you said, a greater variety of candidates means more specific issues are getting highlighted. It definitely pushes them to be more responsive.
Right, right. And speaking of those major players, the governing Jamaica Labour Party, the JLP, and the People's National Party, the PNP, they're naturally expected to field a full slate. That's nominating 63 candidates each, right, to contest every single seat.
The full 63.
But it's definitely not just the big two this time around, is it?
No, not entirely.
We've got the Jamaica Progressive Party, the JPP. They've formed an alliance with the Jamaica First Movement, the JFM, and they've signaled they intend to nominate at least 60 candidates. That's a pretty considerable presence in itself.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a significant showing.
And, of course, we can't overlook the independent voices, individuals stepping up on their own, like Derek Claude Robinson. People know him as Black X. He's among the handful of independents expected to be nominated.
Yes.
What's the significance, then, of these newer alliances and these, persistent independents in a race that's usually dominated by the two giants?
Well, this mix, the established major parties, this burgeoning alliance, and independents like Black X, it's incredibly important for democratic vitality.
Yeah.
It really is. Well, sure, the major parties have the resources and the history, the emergence of an alliance like the JPP and JFM, plus the independents. It can be a real catalyst. They can introduce fresh policy ideas, challenge the usual narratives. They make sure a wider range of citizen concerns get voiced during the election. It definitely makes for a more dynamic contest. Less predictable, maybe.
Yeah.
And it forces everyone, really, to sharpen their arguments.
That's a great point. Makes things more interesting for voters, too, I'd imagine. Okay, so let's talk about nomination day itself. The official kickoff for all this activity, it sounds like a very precise, almost ritualistic process in some ways.
It has its rituals, definitely.
Candidates have this tight 4-hour window, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's it, to submit their papers.
Yeah.
The Electoral Office of Jamaica, the EOJ Director of Elections, Glasspole Brown, has confirmed these timings and the expected candidate count. It really underscores the formality and the meticulous planning involved.
It's run very tightly.
And naturally, the high-profile nominations get a lot of attention. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, JLP leader, he's looking to retain his St. Andrew West Central seat, nominated at Waltham Educational Center, I believe.
That's right.
And on the other side, PNP President Mark Golding, aiming to hold on to his St. Andrew Southern seat. He's set to be nominated at Lyndhurst Methodist Church. These aren't just, ticking a box, are they? They feel like highly visible declarations of intent. They really set the tone.
Oh, they absolutely are. Nomination day isn't just about the paperwork, not at all. It's deeply symbolic. Yeah. And strategically vital. It marks that official switch from all the pre-election talk and speculation to active public campaigning. When the party leaders and other prominent figures publicly submit their nominations, it sends this powerful, galvanizing message to their supporters, yes, but also to the wider electorate. Like, okay, the race is undeniably on. It focuses public attention, media attention, kicks off the campaign in earnest. It's really the moment the campaign officially steps into the spotlight. Often the first big media chance for candidates to make a statement.
Okay, so if you want to run for office in Jamaica, seems like there are some very specific hoops you need to jump through.
There are indeed.
For the general election candidates, first up, you need to complete that nomination form. And it's not just any form, right? It has to be signed by 10 or more electors. And crucially, they have to be registered to vote in the specific constituency you're aiming for.
That's key. Constituency specific.
Once that's sorted, you submit it to the returning officer for that constituency.
Correct.
And then there's the fee. $15,000.
$15,000, yes.
And here's the kicker, as you mentioned earlier, strictly cash only.
Cash only. That's the rule.
No bank cards, no checks accepted, just, cold, hard cash. So no last-minute dash to the ATM on nomination day, I guess.
Uh-huh. Probably not advisable, no.
What's the thinking behind that? Beyond just maybe tradition, does it serve a practical purpose?
Well, precisely. It keeps things, well, uncomplicated maybe. On what's already a pretty high-energy, potentially chaotic day, these specific procedural requirements, needing the signatures, the cash-only fee, they serve multiple purposes, really. They're designed to ensure a candidate's legitimacy, first off, and to show, a genuine, even if minimal level of public support within their constituency. The financial requirement, while, let's be honest, not prohibitive for truly serious candidates, it does act as a kind of filter. Ensures a basic level of commitment and seriousness from those wanting public office. It's about establishing that foundation of credibility and engagement before the race even properly begins.
That's a fair point about legitimacy, but, some might argue that a cash-only rule or even a $15,000 fee could disproportionately affect candidates, maybe from less affluent backgrounds. What's the counter-argument there?
That is a valid concern, and it's a balance, isn't it? Something many democracies grapple with. The counter-argument often hinges on preventing, let's say, frivolous candidacies, people just putting their name down without serious intent, which could clog the system or dilute the focus of the election. So while the fee might seem like a barrier, it's generally seen as low enough not to exclude genuinely viable candidates who have some level of organization and support. It's meant to signal dedication, organization, rather than necessarily wealth. It's aiming for that sweet spot between accessibility and seriousness.
Okay, that makes sense, finding that balance. And speaking of different requirements, we also have those municipal by-elections happening on the same day, September 3rd, in 4 divisions. Chancery Hall, Olympic Gardens, Seabright Gardens, Denham Town.
Yes, those two.
These local races, they have slightly different rules, reflecting their community focus, right? A narrower 2-hour nomination window, I think 12 noon to 2 p.m.
Correct, 12 to 2 p.m. for those.
And a lower fee, just $3,000. And the form needs signing by only 6 or more electors. It seems like they're designed to make participating locally a bit more accessible. Is that the idea?
Exactly right. The design difference for the municipal elections really reflects their local focus. Lowering the fee, needing fewer signatures, it acknowledges the more community-centric nature of these roles. It's about broadening the base for local governance, making it more feasible for individuals who are really deeply embedded in their communities to step forward, which is, crucial for effective local representation.
Right. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Moving beyond the strict rules into this fascinating and uniquely Jamaican tradition. The use of specific banknotes by party representatives on nomination day, it's this subtle nod to political history, to party identity. I'm genuinely curious about this money notes tradition. Is it purely symbolic, or does it serve any other purpose for the parties?
It's primarily symbolic, but powerfully so.
So traditionally, JLP candidates, or the reps, they'll show up with their nomination fee paid in $5,000 notes.
That's the tradition.
And why that specific denomination? Because those notes, they feature images of former prime ministers, Sir Donald Sangster and Hugh Shearer, both JLP leaders.
Correct.
It's a very clear symbolic gesture for the party, very visual.
Extremely visual.
Now, for the PNP representatives, apparently it's not quite as clear-cut. The sources we looked at indicate they don't have a single note featuring only one of their former presidents, which
Hmm.
makes their choice of money notes not quite as straightforward or, symbolically neat as the
That's
JLPs.
the challenge they face, yes.
It's a small detail, maybe, but it speaks volumes, doesn't it? About the narratives and symbols parties choose to rally around.
Oh, absolutely. This money notes tradition, it might seem trivial on the surface, but it's actually a brilliant piece of almost subconscious political branding. For the JLP, using those notes with their past leaders, it anchors the party's identity right there, intangible history. It creates this unique, memorable, visually reinforcing connection for supporters. It goes way beyond a typical campaign slogan. It's like grassroots marketing embedded right into the bureaucracy. A quiet but really potent declaration of who they are, where they come from. And for the PNP, their challenge, as you pointed out, it just highlights how deeply symbols run in politics. It forces them to find other ways, maybe, to express their own legacy on such a public day. It's a subtle but powerful ritual, reinforces party loyalty, party identity.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's unpack this further then. Getting into the strict eligibility criteria for general election candidates, because it's not just about who wants to run, but who actually can run.
Crucial difference.
So, to qualify, first, you must be a Jamaican citizen, or alternatively, a Commonwealth citizen who has lived in Jamaica for at least 12 months immediately before nomination day.
Yes, that residency requirement is important.
And you have to be at least 21 years old. Those are the sort of the positive
On
requirements.
this line, yes.
But then there are also very clear disqualifications, things that stop you. You cannot be nominated if you're under 18. Okay, that makes sense with the 21 minimum age anyway.
Right.
You can't be currently serving in a public office or be part of the Jamaica Defense Force.
Prevents conflicts, yes.
Also, if you've been declared bankrupt, you're out.
Financial integrity concerns there.
And here's a significant one. It often comes up. People with dual citizenship from a non-Commonwealth country are barred from contesting the general election. That's a big one.
It is, and it's often debated. What's fascinating here, though, is how meticulously detailed these eligibility and disqualification rules are. They really reflect these underlying principles of governance and even national security. The citizenship and residency rules are about ensuring loyalty, a deep understanding of the country's needs. The age restriction is about, well, a certain degree of maturity, experience perhaps. Disqualifications for public office or military service, that's clearly about preventing conflicts of interest, maintaining the nonpartisan nature of certain key institutions. The bankruptcy clause speaks to financial integrity, as I said. And that dual citizenship rule, the one for non-Commonwealth countries specifically, it aims to avoid any perceived divided loyalties in a national leadership role, especially in sensitive areas of governance. And, this really raises an important question, doesn't it, about that balance between broad citizen participation in democracy and the absolute necessity of maintaining the integrity, the undivided loyalty of public office holders. These rules, complex as they are, they're a testament to the careful thought given over time to who should legitimately hold the reins of power.
That dual citizenship rule for non-Commonwealth countries, it does seem quite specific, quite strict. What's the historical reason or the practical reason for that particular distinction? Is it about worries over foreign influence or something else?
It's primarily rooted, historically and practically, in concerns about potential divided loyalties, or indeed foreign influence, particularly within a nation's highest legislative body. Historically, many Commonwealth nations share reciprocal arrangements regarding citizenship rights, certain privileges, but a tie to a non-Commonwealth nation that can be viewed differently through a constitutional lens. It could potentially create a conflict if national interests were ever to diverge significantly. So it's seen as a kind of protective measure, ensuring that those in the highest offices have their allegiance solely focused on Jamaica. It really speaks to the sovereignty and independence of the nation.
Okay, that clarifies the thinking behind it. Thanks. And just quickly, for the local government by-election candidates, the rules are slightly different again, aren't they?
They are tailored to the local level.
You need to have lived in the parish for at least a year prior to election day. So, very local connection.
Emphasizes community ties.
And crucially, you can't have any financial or land-related contractual dealings with the local authority, things that could create a conflict of interest or affect your candidacy.
Absolutely critical for local governance.
These rules seem to really zero in on local accountability, local transparency.
They absolutely do. The rules for local government candidates, they emphasize that local connection living in the parish ensures, hopefully, a deep understanding of local issues. And that financial dealings clause, that's a direct measure to prevent corruption or even the appearance of undue influence. making sure elected officials are serving the public's interest, not potentially their own. It just reinforces that core principle. Local governance needs to be transparent and accountable directly to the immediate community it serves.
Right. Well, that really wraps up our look into Jamaica's election process today, focusing especially on that crucial nomination period. We've covered quite a bit from the sheer scale of it all, nearly 180 candidates expected, to the major players like the JLP, PNP, and the JPP-JFM alliance. We walked through the critical steps of nomination day itself, the specific requirements, the fees, cash only.
Can't forget the cash.
And we even touched on those curious symbolic traditions like the money notes and, of course, the really strict eligibility and disqualification rules that govern who can even stand for election in the first place. Understanding these specific details, it really gives you a shortcut to being well informed about the democratic process in Jamaica. It's about grasping the mechanics, the nuances that shape the whole political landscape before the first vote is even cast.
Indeed. And maybe a final thought for listeners. If we connect all this to the bigger picture, how might these very precise rules, these unique traditions surrounding nominations, how might they actually shape public perception? Perception of the political parties, perception of the democratic process itself, even before the first ballot is cast. It's certainly something to consider as this short sprint to September 3rd continues.
Absolutely. We encourage you to keep exploring and reflecting on these insights as the election race unfolds.